get on here at 7 or 6 or on time or on the time that I told somebody that I'd be showing up to this. But here we are. Welcome to the Duck and Compass Society. My name is Tim, and I am your host for the evening. Um, got two different cameras going on, so you can watch me from over there, which makes me just wildly self-conscious. Maybe a couple too many beers, working on that. But tonight, folks, we are painting Robert and Mike, two of my favorite characters from the Endless Summer. The card series, we're doing the 50 states, and tonight's a special treat, I think, because this evening's state is more of a state of mind, and that's travel and tour and exploration. And if you can't necessarily see with that big old camera that I got going on over here on my left, tonight's Spirit of Exploration is brought to you by Lewis and Clark in Sacagawea. That's what we're painting tonight, folks. This is going to be a really fun piece. I'm kind of leaning into the historical thing because, number one, I'm a history major, and I'm a big fan of history and kind of sharing where our great country came from, the explorers, the people that settled here. The people are really, I mean, without Lewis and Clark, I guess eventually somebody would have done what they did, but think about it, they're really just the coolest explorers ever, if you ask me. I mean, there's some other cool ones that are out there, but if you got the stones to try to map yourself across uncharted territory that literally nobody, well, I take that back. Nobody's ever mapped before. How about that? Taking different routes and trying to explore places that you've never been to, areas that you don't even know what they're like. That's intense, man. Wow, what a cool thing to do. I mean, imagine just being out there on the trail for months at a time without seeing another person, years at a time without maybe potentially having a nice warm bed to lay down in at night. I mean, geez, I can almost picture it. So if you were ever in the military like I was, you could probably picture it a little bit. Not seeing your family for a long time, or going on a mission or a call that is questionable at best. You don't know where you're going or what you're doing, but damn it, you signed up for adventure and here you are. So to my veteran brothers and sisters, I salute you too. So I got some fun people joining tonight. Not going to throw out any names. Just keep it anonymous. A friend that I see on a semi-regular basis is going to be joining. It's going to be pretty cool here in Humble. The local businessman that I go see from time to time. And let's see. I think I have a couple friends that are going to be joining in from LinkedIn to see what I'm up to tonight. One of the reasons why I'm kind of going monochromatic with these historical ones is just the fun of it, because as this painting develops, you'll see that I'm going for like a historical photo kind of situation. Lewis and Clark, Sacagawea, Old West, and then one of my characters is going to drop a technology bomb on their heads with with the GPS. Like, you guys are all wrong. You're doing it wrong. You're exploring wrong. You guys need a GPS, man. Get yourself a Google Maps or something. You wouldn't even have to worry about mapping anything. Just hook this up to your horse and let them walk around the planet. That's essentially what Google's done, right? That's kind of funny. Put those two things together. The current Google cars that are mapping the world are like the Lewis and Clark of the computers. And in centuries or decades or minutes from now, who knows? Other computers are going to be looking back on their progress and be like, so look at what we did as a species, computer species. We map the United States. When really, my boys here, Lewis and Clark, and maybe Mike and Robert, they were on the journey with them. Maybe they just ran into them on the trail. Who knows? And they're out there getting shit done. I love it. So let's talk about the states. I've completed thus far Florida and Illinois. My two stomping grounds when I was a kid. In Florida, we went to Gatorland. That was a lot of fun. That was a fun painting. Robert and Mike chilling out, looking at these prehistoric freaking monsters. And we did Chicago in Illinois. That was a lot of fun for me because I put Robert and Mike with Abraham Lincoln doing a selfie in front of Wrigley Field. How is that not a painting? How is that not just glorious? That was so much fun. We did LA. Well, we did the Pacific Coast Highway. It's questionable what area we're at in LA, but we did California. And right now I'm not really sure what state this is that I'll end up on, but it's clearly going to be maybe out west, following Lewis and Clark's path. The background that I'm going to put in kind of feels deserty, and I'll just have to do a little bit of research trying to figure out the obvious. Can you imagine traveling the way that these people did back then? I mean, how intense is that? Seriously. You break something, and I'm not talking like an axle. I'm somewhat accident prone, my wife will tell you. And if you get hurt out there, forget about it. You get bit, you get bit by a snake, you better figure out how to suck that venom out real quick or chop off a limb. That sounds extreme, but these guys didn't have any hospitals nearby. I don't think Cookie was going to patch him up. Maybe he was. Maybe Cookie's a time traveler and he's all about patching up his friends. But I don't know if I trust Cookie. I really don't. Sacagawea, she probably knows some really good herbal remedies and homeopathic medicines that didn't even have a name yet. But you break a limb, you have a heart attack, heat exhaustion kicks in. I mean, the clothes that these dudes wore back in the day out on the trail has got to be enough just to scream heat exhaustion about every turn that you take. All right, so I've had questions about my friend Jenny asked me questions about this medium that I'm using that has got that really intense old look. And the stuff that I'm using now is a liquid graphite. That's right, liquid graphite. It's a fun thing to use, to be honest with you, because after this, I'm going to go back into it with some pencil and really make some fun details that I don't know if I'd normally be able to accomplish with just this paint. This paint just kind of helps me understand the values, where I want to put things, the areas that are dark, the areas that are light, the areas that are in between, shadows, and just kind of all that. So, I mean, you can see my horse of Foreman. See my horse of Foreman. That's fun. We got this cool, there we go. Oh, we need his ear. Kind of needs that. We got this cool horse and buggy going on. There we go. There's part of his reins. Darken this in a little bit. I think I want to make this a little bit lighter because back then they were just kind of crappy canvases that they used to cover their wagon, which is another thing that's just a trip. So you're out you're out in the country and this is your your mode of transportation. Where do you put the extra wheel? Where's AAA? Is AAA out there with it? I don't think they are. AAA could be out there, but it's probably not the same folks we got used to. All right, there we go. Giving that nice structure, kind of pulling it in, letting it bleed over a little bit. These act like watercolors a little bit. They don't bleed as well or as much into each other when you do one on wet. Because it's graphite, it tends to dry a whole lot quicker. So I actually am trying out an extender that slows the drying process. And so far, I can't tell the difference much. It's helping a little bit, but not as much as I'd like. I want to go dark inside here to really push this back and show the depth of their covered wagon. Give it a little bit of texture inside. We know that sucker's not flat and perfect inside. I can't even imagine. You got your beans in there from Boston. What else you got? You got some rounds. I imagine they probably carried a couple firearms with them in case they ran into some bad people or some bad animals. That's another thing people don't consider. When you start going across country like these guys did, okay, there's people and bandits and, you know, robbers and ne'er-do-wells, blah, blah, blah. But also, that was a wild, the United States was wild, man. We had buffalo. Buffalo will rip you in half. There's some wild cats out there. All right, that's a big clump. I don't want that clump. I want a little bit less of a clump. Give it a little bit of a shadow, but don't make it obvious. Big clump of freaking graphite. That'll look like garbage. All right, there we go. Kind of just darkening up a little bit as we go back. Give those ribs of the ride a little bit more of a volume. Kind of going light and then dark and then dark and then light and then really hitting some values when it starts drying up just a little bit. We go for another edge back here. I like that look. That's a good look. All right. I'm going to darken things up in the foreground right here a little bit, right behind the horse's butt. Darken that up nice. And I'm not going for 100% right now. I'm going for maybe 70 or 80%. What I mean by that is I'm not trying to make this like photorealistic. I'm trying to get that kind of grainy black and white. I was looking for a sepia tone, but that just doesn't exist with the set that I'm using right now. But I'm working on getting some sepia colored watercolors, and then I could really do these old timey paintings super duper accurately, make them give you kind of the heebie-jeebies. Like, but you know, a lot of those paintings, or I should say photographs, that they have that Cracker Barrel. And by the way, thank God they decided not to rebrand. That would have been an American tragedy. But the photographs that they have at Cracker Barrel, I'm sure are familiar. That's like those old timey sepia. That's kind of the style I'm going after. All right, so I left this purposely white so I could let the stuff dry around it a little bit. This is the bench. I just kind of want to give it a little bit of a shine because it's probably leather that they're sitting on. I want to make it a little bit darker, kind of pronunciate a little bit more what they got going on there. A little darker behind the horse. Maybe darken that horse's butt a little bit more. Yeah, it's coming together nice. So we got our wheels here. I'm going to go on the inside track and get the spokes I'd like them a little bit darker. There we are. Then just the background, because yeah, we're seeing through the spokes, and eventually there's going to be some background back there, but I really want these spokes and these lines pronounced so it's instant recognition. Sweet. All right, good stuff. That's good. So far the horse and buggy feels like a horse and buggy. We got a back wheel here. Gonna hit up a little bit. We're not gonna put as much detail into it because it's back there in the back. And then just a little darker here. You know what, folks? I may hold off on this wheel here, maybe until, I don't know, maybe until I get in there with some pencils. And I've got some really cool mechanical pencils. Thank you to my friend Richard for introducing me to that. Thomas Richard? Ah, man, I hope I didn't botch your name. All right. So I'll put a little bit more darkness underneath our horse. Kind of make this make more sense. There we go. All right. Every once in a while, I step back from my painting, kind of reassess where I'm at, what I'm doing. I want to add a little bit more fold lines into here. Really show that this freaking canvas is struggling to keep up. There we go. I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit as I go towards the right. And art fans, if you take a look at this real quick, I know it's pencil drawing, it's line drawing right now, and I understand that. But the way I'm trying to present this and the way I framed it is with forced perspective. So this is kind of the middle right here that I'm trying to draw everybody's eyes to. So you'll have these characters leaning in. He's more of a straight up character. This one's leaning in a little bit more. The skies are going to be coming in a direction that's towards the map. So I really wanted either Lewis or Clark, whoever is here, to kind of be the focal point. And to do that, he uses technique. And that technique is forced perspective. And this tool that I have in my hand right here is called the Artist's Maul. And what it's used for is to basically keep my hands from schmutzing up my freaking painting, my big old ape claw, and keep everything kind of clean. I discovered this thing when I started oil painting, and I got to tell you what, it's freaking invaluable. Now I'm going to back this off, way off, for his hat. I might even bump it out a little bit more with just a little bit more water. Knock down the colors a little bit. There we go. And to knock them back even further, I think I'm going to wipe some of that away because I want him like right up close. There we go. There we go. That rocks. Now it looks like it took a little bit away from the horse. I think I might have. We're going to darken up the horse a little bit here. Make sure that it really, really stands out and has that separation in the background from his hat. There we are. All right. That's looking sharp, man. I like this. So far, I like it. It's a fun painting for sure. All right, their jackets. I know these guys are hilarious because they always wear their black jackets. They're very stylish, Mike and Robert. Doesn't matter if they're on the trail or if they're going to a movie. I think the only thing I don't have these guys doing in their little black suits actually is you know what? I take that back. I did make a painting of them surfing in their suits. Kind of silly, but if you go back and you watch the original Endless Summer, Mike and Robert get dressed up for flight. to all their destinations, and they show up in these really cool old-fashioned, like almost. All right, kind of reminds me a little bit. I'm not I'm not a huge, let's see, fashion guy, but maybe this will explain why. Kind of reminds me of some of the people from Men in Black a little bit. Like, not the movie, but that they're all always wandering around with their suits on. It's fun. All right, there we go. All right, so his hand down here, I'm gonna knock off some of that paint. I'm just gonna call it paint. I'm not even gonna call it what it is. It just wouldn't make sense. I'm gonna pull that out a little bit. All right, there we go. I'll probably hit that up with some pencils. His camera is Easy Day. He's got, look, old school Minolta, who knows? Canon, maybe. I don't know. What did they have in the 1800s for my man Mike to bring around with him? Cannons? Trick question. So here's a fun fact that since we're talking about cameras and film, why not? So a lot of the original movies were filmed on on an acetate. Can't remember the exact name, but they're in preservation right now. And this film is like super, super sensitive and also potentially flammable and or could explode. That doesn't happen very often. I would have to ask my friend, Dr. Yeager. Yeah, I'm name dropping. You bomb squad guys know who Dr. Yeager is. I got to work with him for a number of years. He was a friend, a mentor. He came to my going away party. Every time I get down to an IABTI or USBTA conference, I get to see him, catch up a little bit. In fact, Dr. Yeager has one of my original paintings hanging in his office somewhere in the FBI. Kind of flattered. All right, I'm gonna stand up again. I just need a little break. It's all right. I got this tiny stool here. When I got to get down low, I don't want to adjust and readjust camera angles and all that other stuff. So I just take a seat. Plus, I'm an old man, and every once in a while, need a little bit of a break. Yeah, it's coming together, guys. I dig it. So we got anybody on? I can't see from here. Looks like we got a couple people on. That's awesome. Well, welcome, my friends, to the Duck and Compass Society. I appreciate y'all joining me, for sure. Now, if you're wondering about these cards that I have on the side of my painting, well, wonder no more. These are my Duck and Compass Society cards. So I take this painting, and I get a photograph by Robert here, or Mike, and once he's done with the photograph, I send it over to my friends over at Minuteman here in Humble. Little shout out to my man Daryl and Connie Chandler. They're awesome folks, and they turn them into these cards for me. And these cards are in retail places in the United States, overseas. Just got back from Tokyo not all that long ago. I'm hoping to have some in Tokyo real soon. Well, I know I've got some in Tokyo. So I met up with the crew over there at the flagship store of the Endless Summer, and we had a nice conversation. Got to meet all the people on the team. That was so rad. That was a lot of fun. You know what I missed is the bottom of the horse's leg. It was like, it just doesn't just stop there. Horses are pretty tall. Horses got some length. All right, that's cool, man. I dig that. All right, let's see. Got to darken some of this in the background. There we go. The other fun thing about the Duck and Compass Society and our cards here is that every card has a unique QR code that goes to our app store. And in most of the cases right now, a lot of the cards are pre-app. So it goes to the free version. That's on the internet. But let me tell you about it real quick because it's a lot of fun. If you're like me and you have young kids at home, you sometimes struggle with keeping them entertained and off the computer or off the gamepad or freaking off the TV or just basically bombarded by nonstop media. Not a big fan of for my son. And he's actually one of the driving forces here, helping come together with this wild magical idea. So if he's watching, thanks, buddy. So you do is you get yourself a pack of these cards, you give them to your kid, and you have them go out and make some friends. Stick out your hand, say hello. My name is young person, and I'd like to be your friend. And it's a great way for kids to make friends. Trading cards have been around forever. I mean, think about it. Baseball cards, holy cow. And now in the age of gaming cards, Pokemon, and so many different other types and varieties out there, I thought I'd take on a little bit of a different role and not make just another game, but make something for the kids that are curious about exploration. That's what I'm into. I like traveling, like seeing new places, meeting new people, sticking out my hand, saying, hi, my name is Tim. I'm from Houston. I like long walks on the beach, lobster. I'm a tourist. All right. So if I did that, you guys would be like, what a freaking tool. But they are great conversation starters. And I can give you an example. I was just in Tokyo, as I said. Met a guy on Mount Fuji, and he had a motorcycle. And we were talking about his bike through a Google Translator app on my phone. He had one. What a cool invention that is, by the way. All right, so his little bag here. Robert and Mike. Robert always carries his little satchel. Mike always carries his camera. Anyway, that's kind of their thing. So yeah, I met this dude on top, well, on stage 5 of Mount Fuji, and I showed him who my characters were and what they did, and this dude was floored. He loved it. So I gave him a card, and so far he's toured all over Japan with this card, and sent me pictures. He posts photos with him in the ducks and the card that I gave him on the app. So the app has got kind of a social component to it. Don't worry, parents. I moderate it. I moderate the crap out of it. As a matter of fact, nothing gets approved unless I approve it. Nothing gets posted unless I say okay. And my background is in security. Bomb squad guy, FBI contractor, corporate security. You get the point. So I'm not letting anything pass that I wouldn't let my own son be exposed to. Man, I'm loving this color. Ugh, it's sweet. So I was going for sepia, and the freaking tube of granite. It's not granite. The tube of graphite said red on it. Well, maybe my dogs can see this color red. I cannot. All right, so Mike's throat goes down that way. So I'm just going to make a little bit underneath, kind of the continuation of whatever is going on behind him. It's probably one of these explorers. Yeah, it is. It's his jacket that I drew in a little bit deeper than I should have, I think. That's all right. He's probably a big dude. Probably not, actually. Back then, nutrition was garbage. Medical care was bloodletting. And he probably wasn't in great shape. Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he worked out. The Lewis and Clark CrossFit team, I'm sure. There we go. Get some wrinkles in his jacket there, which is, by the way, not going to be an easy feat to paint a monochromatic jacket. It's going to be a little challenging, but I got it. I think I'll take it all day long, that challenge. And sometimes making art is about that. It's about challenging yourself. It might be challenging, like your ability. Like, can you do it? Can you do it? Should you do it? Is another question. What are you trying to convey? Like, what kind of message are you trying to send out with your art? Is it personal? Is it somebody's story? I think one of my favorite parts of being an artist is commissions with my bomb squad brothers and friends. And the biggest reason why is I get to hear their stories. Heard an awesome one today. Doing a commission for a gentleman who wants a duck painting or multiple duck paintings, and he really liked my style. The collector told me a fun story about his. You know what? I'm gonna leave that between him and I, and if he ever wants to, he can tell the story. So I don't want to take it away, and it's not mine to tell, but it is mine to paint. So here's kind of the idea that I had. Well, if I had told you that, I guess I'd give that away too. So Tim's going to shut up here for a second. But I can tell you this. Last year, I had over 200 commissions from my bomb squad family and my friends. And a lot of them I didn't know. Some of them I did. But it was one of the funnest viral moments that I've had, was going viral with those paintings, because over 200 commissions in about 2.5-3 months is in the art world, I think that's probably considered going viral. I don't know. I've only been doing this for 2.5 years. Yes, folks, 2.5 years. Your boy's been at it. Not very long. What does that tell you? You can do this. And I got to be honest with you, I was not a very good artist, nor was I ever even thinking about making this a thing until 2.5 years ago. I dabbled in high school. I didn't really have an art teacher, to be quite frank. And if my old art teacher from high school is watching, I'm sorry, but I did not really learn a whole lot in your class except how to skip classes and smoke cigarettes. So I'm just going to be honest. I never really had any formal art education. Now, I did take a course, albeit a computer-based training kind of course. It was a correspondence-ish for oil painting. And that's where I learned a lot of really important things about values and techniques, about shadows, lights, and darks, color theory. Yeah, color theory. Here I am painting a monochromatic. But if you're interested, and I think you should be, the name of the course is Evolve. And I'm not paid by those guys. They probably don't even know that I'm saying it. But Evolve Art Academy, look it up online. It's a fraction of what you would pay for major college art lessons or going to a studio and having private art lessons. I'm not even kidding. And the stuff that comes with, they outfit you with everything you need. Your paints, your canvases. I mean, literally, down to the brushes and the mineral spirits. Well, no, actually, I don't think they use mineral spirits anymore. I think they're all down to linseed oil and soap. But anyway, I digest. It was awesome. It taught me exactly everything that I wanted to know. How to set up a painting, how to capture the image, how to measure on still lifes. That was an incredibly challenging thing. And then what you do is you make a painting and you send it off a photo. Of course, they tell you how to do the painting, what to do, all that good stuff. And then you send them in a photo, and they critique your work. They tell you where you could do better, how to do better. It's not just, hey, it sucks. Although I bet a couple of instructors would like to be able to say that one day. Dude, just give up now. They're like wildly supportive over there at that place. And I liked it so much that I'm giving them free airtime. I could be talking about 100 different things, but the folks over at Evolve, they really, I got to tell you, that's a top notch environment right there. If you really want to learn how to be an artist, that's where I would start. Maybe if you're more like me, and you're like an autodidact, where you like teaching yourself and learning things as you go, it's foundational. That's all I can say. It's foundational. I recommend it. It's a great course. Good people. I mean, the guy that started it is no joke. I think his name is Daniel, and the guy designed the cover of a Rolling Stone album covers. I think it was the Steel Wheel tour, and he just basically like lets it all out there. It's incredibly insightful, not hard to follow, and fun. Like seriously, it was fun. And if you could pay for fun and get something valuable out of it at the same time, why wouldn't you do it? All right, his face, that's good for now. I kind of like it the way it is. I'm gonna knock down some of this color in my brush just a little bit. Probably gonna just wash it out a little bit more so I can get just a little bit of value across his head, maybe in his cheeks, down here on his jacket. You know this guy's dirty, like unbelievably dirty. So I'm just gonna bring a little bit more value to some of these lighter places, maybe in Robert's shirt, across his camera strap. And then Robert himself is going to get a little bit of a wash. A duck is a dirty duck. Now, Robert's a goose, so Robert's a dirty goose. And he's out there getting dirtier, getting things done with Lewis and Clark. What a fun painting. All right. He has a little hat, a little extra attention. And then maybe behind the horse. There we go. Now, the horse's face, I'm going to keep nice and dark. He's pushed off in the background there. I really don't want him to be a center point. I just want him to be be there. Robert here, I'm going to knock that back down just a little bit. He's dirty too, but he's a yellow duck, so he gets a little bit more value, a little bit darker. But I do want to knock some of that off. Now I think with this painting, what I'm going to do at the end is go back into it with some soft pastels and kind of make it look like one of those old photos that have been retouched or colorized. I remember when colorization was like just a huge thing in the 80s. Like, oh my God, have you seen that old ass movie that's now kind of in color? Hey, I'm sorry. If you're a fan of old movies, it's cool. So am I. But man, it was a little bit extreme. All right. I want to make sure it doesn't look like he's drooling. All right. There we go. All right. What time we got? I've been at it for a minute or two. It looks like I got some people on here. I got 8:06. I'm going to keep on kicking ass for maybe 10 or 15 more minutes. Then your man's got to eat. Boy's got to eat some chow. Get a little bit more, a little darker here. Go into his hands. I really want to kind of capture the ruggedness of this guy. Just being out there. Mike and Robert, maybe not so much, not so rugged, but I do want to put in that shadow. All right, so he's got his iPhone here. It's freaking hilarious. He's like, you guys should just use GPS. And I got Sacagawea over here looking at him like, what the frick is GPS? All right, I want to darken his hair just a little bit in a couple spots, especially the part, and maybe down by the sides just a little bit. There we go. All right, we're gonna hit up Lewis, or is this Clark? We don't know yet. You know, I was doing some discovery for this painting, and I realized real quick, I don't even know what they look like. Like if I wanted to just kind of free, all right, that might be the wrong word, but if I just kind of wanted to free ball this, I wouldn't even know what Lewis and Clark looked like. Like if they walked up to me and poked me in the eye, I'd be fighting words. And then be like, dude, stop. We're Lewis and Clark and we're lost. I'd be like, but dude, you just poked me in the eye. All right, I'm getting a little hungry. I'm getting a little weird. A little weird is all right. I can't believe I'm like running out of this pigment. I put this out pretty daggone thick on my palette. There we go. I just needed to dig a little bit deeper. I really, really dig the ascot look from back in the day, although that might not be the proper fashion term for what these guys wore around their necks. Scarf. I don't know. But I like the idea. I mean, we got operators and military guys that wear those weird ass things around their neck. I can't remember what those are called, but I was not a fan. It was just, to me, it was like extra heat. And they made me look like Mooj. I didn't want to look like Mooj. No, sir. Yeah, he's coming along well. I might even need to squirt out a little bit more pigment. Maybe not. If I dig deep enough on my brush, I got some flat areas like that. Yeah, it darkens it up nice. There we go. Damn. We can paint. Look at that. That's looking good, man. A little darker around his collar, of course. Maybe around his throat. But again, this is all, for me, right now, this is all going to be reference for my values and my shadows and stuff. When this dries, I'm going to go into it with some graphite, really some mechanical pencils. I might even hit it up with a little black ink to like really hammer down on some of the darkest tones. And I've got plenty of black ink. I've got it in freaking buckets. Can you imagine? No, I don't have it in buckets, but I got a bunch of it. I got enough of it where you could probably go swimming in it in a tiny little pool. All right. Let's stop messing around and get the shades in here. All right, I'm going to say the inside of his arm right here is the lighter part. So I'm going to darken in this area and underneath the table. And apparently, look at this. You see that? Red? You see what it says red? Is this red? This isn't even reddish. Over here, you guys. Red? Is that red? No. No. This isn't red. In what world is this red? If I shine a weird ultraviolet light at it, will it magically turn red? I don't know. I'm not going to try. It's sticky when you get it on your fingers. You got to kind of mix it up a little bit because it's clumpy. But once you get that off of there, you're magic. You know what? This gives me a good opportunity to hit some really dark areas. There we go. A little bit of water. A little water. So dark areas in here. Definitely some dark areas in here. And then around the map, over the top of his arm, back behind his jacket, maybe down in this fold a little bit would be a good place to put a little bit of darkness. Separating out his little tassels. There we are. Yeah, that's working. That's working all day. You know what I just realized? I don't have a piece of tape on the left side of my, or the right side of my painting. Well, that's going to make this awkward. That's all right. Tim can fix it. Tim can fix it. All it means is I got to pull that tape off and finish the horse's face. And then it is what it is, folks. I mean, this is not going for Mona Lisa, but I am going for fun. Yeah, nice and dark in there. Down towards the bottom, get those darker spots really identified. Maybe up underneath his hand. It's a little bit darker there. A little bit darker here. Casting a shadow. You know what? Let's put those shadows down now. Casting a little bit of shadow. Casting a little bit of shadow here. His finger. And Mike's hand. Across the map. I think I'm going to extend that out just a little bit more. Make that map look crinkled. We'll do the same thing here. Make the map look crinkled by crinkling the shadow a little bit. And when you start thinking like that, you start thinking like an artist, especially when you take a course like Evolve. You start looking at things a little bit differently. Like literally, if I were to paint the thing I'm looking at right now, what would the values be? Where would the darkest spots be? Where would the lightest spots be? Where would be a place I would even put paint? Just kind of simulate the idea or maybe a feeling. All right, we're going to paint his jacket in a little bit. We're just going to be real cognizant of the areas that I want to keep somewhat light. There we go. And then the inside of his hand would be the darker part here, although it might be a little bit darker underneath his hand too. So I'm gonna, that's a little bit much there, buddy. Let's knock that back. There we go. All right, I'm gonna hit a little bit more, a little darker values on top of his sleeve. I'm using what I put down already as highlight. And tomorrow, my friends, I'm gonna finish his face. I just kind of feel like it. All right, let's do his hair first, kind of test out this brush. Like, where are we at? Here we are. Where are we at with the color scheme? Where are we at with the values? How dark this is? I think I like it. All right, he's looking down. He doesn't have like a scowl going on, but he's definitely in thought. And then just a little bit there, a little bit here. I'm gonna darken his eyes just a little bit, kind of show you where he's looking, just like that. Maybe a little bit of extra furl, a little bit dark in his sockets. We're gonna put in a nostril, so a little highlight up underneath. And then we'll work his hair just a little bit more. I kind of like the idea of this guy being a little bit lighter haired. It'd be a really good, I think, like side by side. Like they'll draw away the eye a little bit. So your eyeball naturally, well, at least for us as Americans, reads from left to right. So it just keeps that flow going. I like a little bit of the texture I put in there. Yeah, man. All right. Boom. I've got, what time we got? Let's see. It is 8:17. All right. I think I've been at it for my normal amount of time. So I'm just gonna say thank you. Thank you for joining me. Where you're at down there. Duck and Compass Society, I appreciate it. My name is Tim Colomer, and if you like travel and adventure, you should hook up with the Duck and Compass Society because we are going all over the world. Just this year, Florida, DC, Tokyo, London, coming soon, St. Louis, South Carolina, and Cincinnati and Cleveland. So I'll see you on the road, guys, and quack on. I'm out. You know what? I'm just going to hit stop.